Hi there, this is Professor Juris, and I just wanted to make you a quick video and show you how I crop in Photoshop for my Instagram pictures. So a lot of the pictures I'll shoot on the iPhone, and I do actually shoot a lot of them in the square format, but sometimes I'll still bring them in to put a border around them, bring them into Photoshop, or otherwise if I'm going to crop them and stuff, I bring them into Photoshop. And I usually actually use my laptop to put my pictures on Instagram, so I have more control over the images than I do with the phone. A lot more control in Photoshop. So now, if you have the latest Photoshop online, that's the one that I'm using right here. But you can do this with all the Photoshops. Even if you don't have one that's online, even if you could find an old DVD someplace and load that on your computer, then you can have Photoshop and do almost all these basic things with it. I'm going to go over in these little Photoshop lessons. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I kind of like this photo. It reminds me of Mad Max or something, but I'm going to make this photo a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to use a filter on it. So I'm going to go up here to Filter, and I'm going to go under Stylize, and I'm going to solarize it. So Stylize, solarize. And I came up with that image there. So that'd be kind of good, but if I went ahead and I put this on Instagram, one of the things that might happen is it's going to crop my face like in half and stuff, and I won't actually see my whole face. So, and that's okay if it depends on what you really want in the picture. But this was done in a landscape format in an iPhone. But if you were shooting this with a 35 millimeter or a digital DSLR, and you had this full frame camera or another, even a small frame camera, that you have this image, you want to crop it to a square. So what I'm going to do here to crop it to a square is I'm going to go over to the crop tool. And when I go over to the crop tool right here, I'm just going to hit this crop tool. And then this image will come up. And then there's also a little cropping thing. I can just, it kind of picks what's best, it thinks, and you can just hit it and crop it. But if you come over here and just click the corner, then you'll get this box in here, and you'll see the little arrow here. I'm going to put the arrow on the top of the dog's head. You can see the arrow. And then what I can do is I can move the picture and get this exactly where I want it. And I think I might have a little bit of space up above my head more than I want. So I can grab this arrow here and actually, crop this down even a little bit tighter in there. And then I'm going to move this still a little bit more, like, right there. And at that point, I'm ready to crop. Now, what I've done, I did this up here earlier, is I actually set this to 5 by 5. So for a 5 by 5 image, you can set this to any size you want. Basically, I just set it to 5 by 5 because that's the size prints I used to get when I shot weddings and stuff with my Hasselblad camera. And I'm used to working in a square format. So even I've shot so much with a square format that even when I look through the iPhone, sometimes I forget I'm not shooting a square unless I set it to the square mode. And sometimes if I'm in a hurry, I might forget to shift it over to the square mode. But I really like square photographs, and I think that that's one of the reasons I'm really drawn to Instagram, is because of what happens with the square photos, the cropping and so forth. But so I have this image right now. So what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and hit a different tool. So when I hit a different tool, it's going to crop. And boom, there it is. Now you could just go ahead and put that right up on Instagram like that. But what I'm going to do is I want to actually add a black line around the thing, around the photograph. So what I want to do is show you two ways to put a black line around the photograph. So one way is I'm just going to come over here to the second tool down, the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm just going to bring this over here, and I'll bring it up to this corner, and you got to kind of like be kind of precise with it. And I'm just going to pull this down then and get it exactly where I want it. And then what I need to do next, I have this little marching ant, marquee going around the whole photograph, is I need to come up to my select button at the top of the screen. And you can't see this, but I'm just going to hit select. And I'm going to put select inverse. And when I hit select inverse, then this screen will come up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go edit fill. So I'm going to go up to edit, and I'm going to go to fill. And when I do that, this will come up here and it'll go foreground color or background color, opacity. So I'm going to set this at 100% opacity. I think even under mode I might, let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to leave mode at normal. And I'm just going to hit the foreground color, which I put in there as black. So I hit this now, and then I have a nice black line around my photograph, and I can click into the marching ants and get rid of that. Then I have that black line there. So let's go back to where we were before. I'm going to go under image or edit, and I'm going to go undo deselect. I'm going to go undo fill. And I can just actually hit this right here and get rid of it all. So that's the photograph that we started with. So let's say that you have information in here, or this is already cropped exactly the way that you want it, and it's kind of tight. So then what you're going to need to do is you're going to create the background of the picture a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under image and go under canvas size. Now the canvas is the area that's the photograph is actually on. It's consider it like taking a photograph and putting it on a piece of mount board. So when I go under canvas size, this little window comes up here, and you can work with this in pixels or inches, whichever you choose. So when I'm working with it here, I'm looking at the pixels, and I want to make it, that's the actual size of the photograph. So what I want to do is I want to add some pixels or add inches to the width and to the height of it. And I want to do it equally. If you look, since this was a 5x5 image, it's 2,174 pixels across, and the same amount going up, the same amount for the height going up and down, 21,074 pixels. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick an arbitrary number to see if this works. I'm just going to add. I'm going to change the 1 to a 6. So I'm going to go over here and just click right in here, and I'm going to go 2674, 2674, and I'm going to go over here now because I need to change them both, otherwise it's going to distort the image. And I'm going to go 2674. Excuse me. And then I'm going to hit OK. And notice that black is on down here, so it's going to create this as black. And that's important to me. I like to use a black edge around my photograph. So there's my photograph right there. And, you know, I could go ahead and just save that now. And I'll show you this here in a minute too. But say that was a little too much. Say I didn't want that much, that much black. Well, I can just go back to my cropping tool again, which is right here, and I can hit my cropping tool, and now I can just move this down a little bit if I want to, just like that, and move this one up a little, and get the black line, exactly how much black line I want to. And then I'm just going to come in here and double click, and that'll crop it to that desired space. Now it's important. Now this is the full-size image, and if we look at it down here, with everything I've done to it and everything, it's 22 megapixels, which will make a nice print. Like I can make a nice 16 by 16 print, out of this. It's going to retain the value because I didn't really change the pixels in the print. When I cropped it, I left the pixels the same. So it's a nice large image. And so what I want to do with this now is I want to go ahead and hit save. So I'm going to go file, save. I'm going to do a save as actually. And, I'll call it self. One. I'll call this self1, and I'm going to save this on my desktop as a Photoshop file right there, okay? So that's going to be on there. So that way, if I want to make a nice print of this, I can make a print of this. But now, just for Instagram, I'm going to have to change the size because I can't put that large of a file on Instagram. And if I could put, a super huge file on there or something, then somebody can, somehow download it maybe and, take your image and start making prints of it. So when you make your prints for the web, you want to make your prints for the web that don't have as much resolution. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go under image size right here, click image size. And again, here's the amount of inches. This is a huge file. even though I cropped it to a 5:5 ratio, but the size still stays the same. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to, make this a 5:5. So I'm going to, it's set in inches right now. So I'm just going to go 5, and it stays the same because I'm locked right here. I'd have to unchange this if I wanted to distort the picture. But as long as this stays the same, or as long as this is locked together, what happens is that we constrain proportions. And in older versions of Photoshop, it was called constrained proportions. And if you didn't have it clicked, you would distort the photograph. And that took a lot for some students to learn that. But they were always distorting their pictures in Photoshop. But with this, you simply lock this, and it contains the proportions of the image. So if it'll contain the proportion for the vertical and the horizontal width of the photograph, so you do not distort the image. So I do this right here, and it's under 72, and now I can see that it's a very small image. It's only 379K, and it was 16 megapixels. But what I'm going to do is actually raise the resolution a little bit. I try to keep the pictures that I put on Instagram around between 2 and 3 megabytes. So I'm just going to click this 72 and just start with 100. And let's see what it comes out as 100. As 100, it didn't really go up that much, so I'm going to go delete that, and I'm going to try 200 in there. So it's 200. There it is. It's 2.86 megabytes. So I'm going to hit OK. Right here. And there's my finished image, and I can go ahead and do this. Bring it down, and let's make it a little bit bigger just so we can see it. Okay, and there I have my image that I'm ready for Instagram. Now remember, I saved the full size version. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go File, and I'm going to go Save As, and I'm going to call this one Self. I could just leave it the same and then make sure it's a JPEG, but because it should be a JPEG to go up on the internet. But I'm going to call it Self1 Small, just for quick reference. If I'm looking at it on my desktop or I stick it in a folder, I know that this is a small picture and it's not one I'd really want to make a print of. That's another important thing. And I'm going to come down here where it says Photoshop, and I'm going to change this to the JPEG. But I can't see all the JPEGs there. So what's going on? So this little window comes up, and again, I just want a standard JPEG, but where did it go? I can't find it. So if I click on information right here, and you can always use this in all the Photoshop tools, one of the things it's going to tell me to do is to save this as a copy, not just as a save as. So I'll click on here, and this little window will come up, and it says not seeing the desired format that you're looking for, like JPEG or PNG. Use save a copy instead, and you'll find all the different formats in there. So I just hit OK, and I hit cancel right here, and then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to the file again, and I'm going to go File, and in File I'm going to go Save a Copy. And when I hit Save a Copy, again, I'm still, there's my desktop right there. I'm still in the Photoshop format. So this is Self1 Copy. What I just need to do here is I'm going to put small in here. I can get rid of copy even, I think, if I want to, and just put small. Let's see. Go all the way back. Just so that I know this is the small one that I don't want to, make a print of. And I'm going to save it on my desktop. And now I'm going to click on here, and look, I have all the different things right here. So there's my JPEG right there. So that's the one I'm going to save it as. I could save it as a number. I could save it as a TIFF if I wanted to. But for Instagram, it works best just to save it as a JPEG. So I'm going to go JPEG and then hit save. And this will say how big do you want to make it, and if I wanted to not have it really again super quality, I can cut it down like that, and that's fine for Instagram. I wouldn't go no less than medium, but I just want to leave mine in maximum so that a viewer can see it good, and I'll leave it as progressive as far as the format option, and then hit OK. And then that appears on my desktop. And now when I go to close this, I need to see which images I have up here. So I'm still on Self One PSD. So I'm going to close this, and I can just close it by clicking the window here, but or just closing the picture. Why don't I hit the little X right here in the picture, and then it'll go, do you want to save changes to Self One PSD before closing? Well, if I saved it already, then I'm all saved. So I'm just going to hit don't save, and that'll get rid of it on my desktop, because what it could do is actually save those other modifications that you made to create the small picture. And that's basically it. That's all there's to creating and cropping an image for Instagram. Hope that helps. If it helps, please hit the subscribe channel for me. Please smash that notification button, and I'm going to do a lot more of these quick, easy Photoshop tips if you're interested in learning some of the techniques I've been using over the years. As my role as Professor Emeritus at Sinclair College in Dayton, Ohio. So thank you.